I don't think it can work without intention, can it?
Right, because everything is attention.
Right.
Only if you focus on it or not. That's why they say whatever you focus on shall grow. But
Right.
your body has its own intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It don't need you to focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
See, when the sun came out, it automatically brought serotonin out of your third eye.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't need you to think that.
Right, right.
So it has its own body intelligence.
So, I mean, Wim Hof talks about controlling the autonomic systems. I wonder, is it possible to control the autonomic systems of melatonin versus, well, you know, day and night? You know, can we control that as well?
Well, let's look at that definition of control. Control is basically you're coming in tune with something that's already taken place.
Mm-hmm.
Before you were ignorant of it, you're realizing, how should I say, this is the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
This is reality.
Mm-hmm.
The average person can't see reality.
Right, right. So without being able to see reality, you are by default out of control.
You're out of control.
Right.
You're going against universal laws.
Right.
If you want, we can go back to my office. And that's it. So the control we're talking about is basically you're coming into the rules that you already set forth. That is your control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sort of like a vehicle. If you don't know that you're driving this vehicle and it got mechanisms where it can fly, it could go off of other energy sources, and you don't know it exists,
Mm-hmm.
you're driving the vehicle around, but you're limited, and the controls is there, you just don't know how to use them.
Right.
And then somebody will come along one time. I remember one time I was playing a guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and then somebody grabbed my guitar.
I left my phone over there.
All right.
I'll wait till you finish.
Oh, you go ahead.
I'll wait till you finish this guitar.
And somebody grabbed my guitar, and I said, man, they made my instrument sound like that. Right. It's my instrument. I got it every day, but they made it sound different. Or something I did, but perfect practice made perfect. They learned more. They knew more about playing. They knew more about the strings, how to use them, how the tone should be. And this is what we got to come in contact with. A Breatharian teacher is just a person that says, okay, I just know a little bit more about energy work. We all working with energy, and that's why I'm open to learn off other people so much, because everybody's got different forms of energy they're working with. Is this making sense? And that's what it's all about. So even dealing with the denser foods or why we eat, it's just energy again. That's why you're doing it. But it's just a denser energy. It's sort of like there's whole cities being fueled by coal. But now we got enough information now. Okay, how about if we convert it going off of nuclear energy or different types of other fuels,
or
solar that gives off less toxicity into the atmosphere. That makes it better for everybody. So just like when we could do that externally, we could do it with ourselves.
You know, that's interesting. I never sort of, you drew an interesting connection there with coal being a dense energy and solar energy being a less dense energy.
Right.
And so if we transition as a species on our planet to a much higher density, would that not bring the consciousness of the species?
It goes hand in hand. That is consciousness.
Yeah.
And what is coal? Coal is trapped sunlight.
That's true.
So that's what I say. You're not gaining more energy. All you're doing is thawing out. You're too dense. So that's why I was just at a get-together, you know, with family and friends. Everybody was basically dense. It wasn't that I had another heart, same family, my sisters was there, same parents and everything. Why am I behaving this way? I just happened to thaw out. Everybody else was just too dense. That's all.
Right.
I like that.
Too dense. That's all it is. Yeah, being overweight, you're too dense.
Yeah.
You don't need to be like that. You understand? That's it is. And we're just breaking through the density. And you're thawing out. And the more you thaw out, the river can run a lot more smoothly. And that's how we're looking at it. And it brings a higher energy to it, or another energy, a more smoother and balanced energy. And we got this inside of us, dealing with our blood circulation, the lymph in the blood, the calcium, everything is there.
But then the emotions stored too.
And that's, well, see, and listen at that. You use the word emotions. That is the emotions. They act up when the person is too dense.
Right. Right.
You free it up, it all goes hand in hand again. That's why people say, well, how do I do the emotional body? And what about my mental body? You name the consciousness. That is consciousness. Breath is consciousness. That's why when you go to a funeral, now this is interesting. I've just met a friend who, their parent just passed away. And they said, we stayed to the last breath. Listen at that. When that last breath left, that's how we signal death. They're out of the body. The consciousness is gone. It wasn't talking no more. So what we're doing is we're putting so much stress on the body. Death to us is when you got so much stress on the body that the breath can't stay there no more. The consciousness won't stay there. It's one and the same.
So, so, so that is the heart of immortality.
That's the heart of immortality.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You must stay conscious. Or when we say a person is asleep, what do we mean? We're just saying they're too dense. They're asleep. Their consciousness is not fully open. So that's why they give us the thing of the Christmas tree that's fully lit up with all the lights on it. That's a fully awakened consciousness. That just means that the person is fully breathing. Not just the lungs, the feet is breathing. You're breathing through your legs. You're breathing through your hands. Your consciousness. You don't need no external things because this breath is all around us. We're living in it, if that's what we want to call it. See, these words and these definitions is messing everybody up.
Right, right.
A woman said one day, what do you mean by light?
Right.
L-I-G-H-T or L-I, you know, so it messes us up.
Yeah. And I mean, and when even so, you don't speak English. Isn't your first language, is it?
Sure.
So you know,
Second.
but you know, but even if it isn't your first language, you know, when
let me
we're
put this over
talking, you know, I may have a different definition for a word. You know, even something as you know, where we're talking about consciousness. Or even light, you know, or God or whatever. Everybody might have a different definition for it, and so and we get messed up in this, mucked up in the middle.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because the deception is basically the misinterpretation of thoughts and ideas. We're all the same being, you understand. But what makes us different is our habits and the way we defining the definitions.
Right.
But if we could get it all on the same plane of what we're talking about, everybody's clear.
Right.
When everybody's clear, everything runs smoothly.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
But what words are we using? So even when I travel around the world, it ain't like somebody or some culture got some secret information that they're holding new. All I do is look at the word they're using, relate it to what we're talking about. It's the same thing. But we make it spooky and bigger than what it really is. Kundalini energy. Now, Kundalini sounds like a really good word. It's nothing. All they're doing is just talking about a place of a location where that particular energy is located. We put it with a serpent. We put it with it like it's spooky or like you need the secret key to go get it up in the Himalayas somewhere. No, you don't. It can harm you and damage you, you know.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that
You
before.
heard that before. You got to know what you're doing.
Right. Be
Okay, it's
careful.
my energy. I got this, all right?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's just your energy. Yeah.
But now we're getting more educated. That's why a lot of these things is coming out the closet. And we don't need to go that far no more. All you need to do is just keep in mind to balance your energy out every day is your responsibility. And that's where the great work is at. And then you're living in this feeling state. Don't beat up on yourself about eating or not eating. You understand? You still could be sociable, socialized. But when you do want to come up off of that, just keep in mind that's just another tussle you're going to take yourself through. If you do eat something, you should exercise. Get that energy to moving or you're going to feel like mess.
Right.
So you really hit if you're eating every day, you're not exercising, you're dense, you're hit. Everything's stagnant. So that's why I said one time that exercise, you're doing an exorcism on yourself. You are. See, that word
I love
EX
that.
is
Yeah.
a word within itself. To
Yeah.
exit. Somebody was an ex-mirror, ex-lawyer. It's a word within itself. It has a definition within its own. So when you're exercising the body, you're getting something to get out, to get cast out, to get things to moving.
I love that.
They change the state of being.
Right.
That's why exercise is important. It's a part of the breatharian path. I don't know who told you it wasn't. If you're in this physical, dense body, and what makes us different than a tree, you're the same, but you can move around, it don't. You're a walking plant.
Yeah, I love that. Plant.
A walking, talking plant.
Could I ask you a question? I'm like really curious. Like, you've met Brother Air, right?
Yeah.
Not, yeah. So, how do you see the mucusless that system that he's working with?
Oh, it all
And
goes hand in
because
hand.
I noticed that you don't focus as much on the food, right?
Right.
So you have more like this qigong practice, which I was kind of introduced by her to it. I sit like behind the computer a lot, and my position is like really bad always.
Yeah.
So growing more conscious of like moving everything, my energy and all that. So it's really interesting. But you know, what is your take on food? Like, because is there a reason why you don't like focus much on it?
All right, here's the whole idea. The whole idea, like we were saying, is energy again. Energy is life. Energy is love. Energy is God. We say all of this stuff. We're all putting it together, but all these words is throwing everybody off. Then we got this concept where we're dealing with food. We all were born into it. You came out, you was crying, and the only way you shut up is somebody threw something in your mouth.
Yeah, it comes down to it.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you went to school from the 1st grade to the 12th. Let's put that. In every grade, certain grades, they put out that particular curriculum. In other words, in the 2nd grade, you're not going to learn geometry. First, you got to learn 1 + 1 and all this other stuff. You understand? So that's why what we mean by a spirituality, everybody is on different degrees of a perception. Some things you might not be ready for. You're not going to take a person in the 2nd grade and throw them in the 10th grade. They're not going to keep up. You understand? So it's the same way in the spiritual dimension of what we're talking about. And everybody, it don't care about your biological age. We're going somewhere else now. Uh-oh. So you got to start out in your different grades. You understand? To learn, and then you graduate and go to another one. And sometimes we say, you know how we say a person flunked for the year, or they didn't pass that year, so they got to repeat a grade. So that's what we mean by a person keep repeating life experiences over and over again. That's negative until they learn and grow up and learn how not to make that happen. You keep repeating that particular grade.
I understand that.
Right, now we understand this now. So when we're dealing with the food part of it, from going into self-sustainability, see, that should be the end goal of what the ancients was talking about, the tree of life. The tree was talking about us. That's why we got a family tree. We got the roots of our ancestors and all this other stuff. We go on and on. The branches, the fruit being the children, it's circulating itself, it's regenerating itself. It's all telling a story about us. So every direction you take or every path should ultimately lead to your freedom. You understand? So when we teach it about food, of course I ain't going to tell everybody just to shut food down right away. You're not in that grade yet. So I would tell somebody who at a certain level, you should go vegan. You should loosen up those dense meats. That's what grade you in. Okay, I got it.
Right.
You need to go learn. Now you should put more fruits and vegetables in your diet to somebody else. You need to exercise more. You can see it because your physical body is your first chakra. Now that's heavy now. We can see it. So because I get a lot of people sometimes, they'll come to a retreat and they say, after this, I'm going to keep it going. I'm not going to eat or drink. But the reality of it is they're sitting there with 2 or 3 chins. No, you're not. You're going to hurt yourself. And then you're going back out there with a drug that hurt you in the first place. Don't be hard on yourself. This isn't what it's about. You're not in that grade yet.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good
So
analogy.
generally, you would say that it would take quite a long time.
Years.
We ain't even say a long time, but it is going to take a process of time.
Then depending on the background,
Depending on the background of a
genetics,
person, there.
and
where they living in, the influences, and all this stuff come into play. Even their genetics. You know, yes, your ancestors do play a part of who was dealing with what and what information they passed on to you.
Because you're talking about, like, you're saying vegan, for example. That would be like a first step. But I know people who even
I ain't
go,
say a first step for a certain
for
individual.
a certain individual, but I know people who go from eating meat to vegetarian and they're already struggling.
Right.
And there are people who are like, they're giving up meat and it's not really a problem. And I've seen this like with a lot of people with their...
Because everybody's different again, depending on what we're dealing with within us. Because I've seen people too that, like, depending on how you grew up. Where I met quite a few people, they could not leave the dinner table until everything was eaten.
Right.
And that affects you when you become an adult.
Right. Like, and then if people are dealing with like serious gluttony, like where they eat, and like you said, they eat it all, like on the table. even
Oh,
if they're
absolutely.
full. Yeah.
Because I've seen people too, they lived a life where the food was scarce, so when they did get a hold of it, they're going to eat.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So we're all dealing with different traumas, different things set in us. So we got to be careful now, taking this knowledge and just trying to make it, this is the way. All right? Now there is a way, but we're on different levels of what we're dealing with again. And everybody's dealing with something to come up out of this. But find out what grade you're in, and you ain't got to try to boost yourself if you know you're in second grade and you're going to the 12th grade. It's going to show after a while. Then you're going to be miserable, sad, and what it is it's just that you got the wrong curriculum. You're out of your grade. Go back here where you're nice and comfortable. You're comfortable there? Yeah. Now begin there. You probably need to eat soups and enjoy yourself, you know, in a good meal every once in 3 days. That's where your consciousness is at. That's what it can handle.
Right.
I've been in this 19 years. Right. You could be around me, I'll blow you out the water. I went through the grades, you understand? So there is the grade of conscious eating and all this other stuff. You understand? Ain't nothing new. And then a person, they feel that you can't eat no more. See, you got the heat in your hips, right? So therefore, this heat start rising upwards by its nature. So even when a person is at a certain level or degree, when they eat food or if they choose to take something, it works totally different on a system than somebody who's eating every day or eat often. That heat is there to burn it up and it come out like diarrhea to be gone. It don't even affect them
Wow.
like that because it's coming out fast. Whoa, this is getting good now. So again, we are dealing with a transformation, a reconditioning of a behavior, and our thoughts go along with it because they're one and the same again. And this breath that we're living in is a totality of the consciousness. Now, there was a thing called the mothership. Any of you ever heard of that? A mothership. Well, a mothership, let's go into some of the teachings of, any of y'all ever heard of Elijah Muhammad? And he came with the teaching of a mothership, dropped off a group of people, and is coming back to pick them up again. So a lot of people kind of use that this mothership is coming to save humanity.
As a real thing.
As a real thing.
Right.
Or these spaceships is around the planet right now and blah, 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 blah. So people get caught into these different doctrines on what we're talking about. But this is very key on what everybody's talking about once you start chopping through the definitions. Now we will look at a ship. What are we talking about? A vessel. That's all we're talking about.
Right. Exactly. I see where this is going.
Yeah.
A vessel. That's what we're talking about. A house. Something that moves, or if it's stationary. That's what we're talking about. It's a ship. And then we're talking about a mothership. Now that's usually the main ship that's supplying all the little ships. Or sort of like the mother when she had babies. The babies is dependent on the mother. To feed it, to nurture it, to do all this other stuff. Hands down. The father, he could beat her or he could leave. It doesn't matter. That's the truth of the matter. But the baby, for its survival, it needs the mothership. That's where it came from. Uh-oh, it gives it supplies, it fuels it up, so it could go along its way. Oh, man, this is getting good. So when they're talking about the return of a mothership, this is a consciousness or an idea where you understand that you're the mothership. You must transform the last vehicle that you was in that needed dependency off of everything else, or the Mother Earth. See, this is a ship that you're on. It's going through space. But you can graduate from this ship where you become the mothership, where you nourish others. But the mothership is self-sustaining. It takes care of itself. It's grown now. It don't need help for nothing else. So that's why people say, well, I'm a child of God. Well, when you going to grow up and become a God? You shouldn't stay a child forever.
I like that.
So this is what we're talking about again. But the mothership, she's what? Been in the game for a while, more experience, know how to nourish others, know how to come pick them up to save them. So when they was coming out with these different doctrines and teachings, people was looking up for a physical alien ship. But the alien ship is already here. That's why they even say you live in a genetic spacesuit. Listen at that. You're in a genetic spacesuit because you're going through space. The three ingredients of the universe is what? Energy. It's in the atmosphere. We're breathing it. Nobody's arguing that. Physical matter. See this table? See our bodies? This physical matter. And the other ingredient is space. You're always in space. So we ain't even need to travel nowhere to see the three ingredients in the universe. We're sitting right here. I don't care if we are sitting in the house, the car, it don't matter. The three ingredients of the universe, you're always there. So now you're learning how to what? Work with these ingredients. That's why we bring up alchemy. You're working with something just like a cook. You're getting good at it. You're a musician. And that's why Einstein said imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Listen at that now. Knowledge is limited. So that's why people do learn knowledge dealing with, you ask me about, well, how about the mucus-free diet and stuff? And why don't I don't teach that? Well, that's knowledge. Knowledge is good, but it takes you to a certain degree in the classroom. But imagination is more powerful. It takes you beyond that. Because if this body is, what, physical matter just like this table, that means that the molecules is just more compact, spinning together real close. That's what makes physical matter. But they're not touching. This is like a hologram, just like that tree. So what is an apple going to do for another hologram, which is me? My imagination took off.
So imagination is, I lost it.
Right. And the more you cultivate your imagination, just like we were just doing the Tai Chi sword earlier. Okay, we're playing around with a stick. But in our mind, we're putting our intent through. We're working with the energy. And their physical changes start taking place because our imagination took over.
So imagination puts us in a place where we can know things without learning them.
You can know things without learning them because all knowing is already in you.
Right, right.
Or you have access to it or will be led to it.
Right, right.
That's why we're always connected in the universe.
Right,
Synchronicity. So everybody do have a life purpose. That's why everybody seems special. I'm special. Of course you're going to feel like that. Because you're here in this realm that just don't make mistakes. Everything is here. You understand? So therefore, we're working with these ingredients. So that's why we get the word imagination. From there comes the word magic. Listen at that. You're working magic. Uh-oh. That's what you're doing. Hocus pocus. And that's why new inventions come about. Some of these inventions we got today, a person couldn't see that 100 years ago. If you went back in the time machine and tried to explain that, oh, that's impossible. That's crazy. No, we're doing this. I just got finished talking to somebody on the other side of the world just by pushing a button. That's what we're doing. And we're sending energy different places. We're coming more, we're learning a whole lot more I saw somebody, some energy a few days ago, way on the other side of the world, just by thinking about it, because I can. And they said, thank you. You understand?
Nice.
We're doing that. You're not disconnected. Everybody's connected to everything else. And we got to keep that in mind. So to be nourished by this, that's not far-fetched. Why would that be stupid? That means that you're not exercising your imagination. Your breathing power. You're living in it.
And so your imagination kind of has to do with manifestation in your life.
Manifestation. That's what it deals
For
with.
example, you want to go on a bike tour, you imagine a bike, you're living in the light,
Right.
it comes to
She
you.
also, she was there on the beginning of my bike tour. We was like,
nice.
yeah. We conjured up a bike, it came. All that stuff took place. Right. You got to see it first.
Yeah.
So start exercising that imagination. You got to see it. Now, what's his name? Jim Carrey. He did say something that was real good before he became famous. He was going to this place where he seen these materialistic things, but he started acting like he already had it. You understand? So in other words, even before you become a breatharia, start acting like you already won.
Right.
See, this is so powerful. See, we're made up of words too. I already know I'm talking to people into breatharianism. I'm talking you into it. See, the last person talked you into eating 3 meals a day. What voice you listening to? That's the battle of the two voices.
Right.
Somebody else talking people into leaving meat alone. Somebody else talking people into eating more of what? Fruits and vegetables. What voice you listening to? What energy? But somebody's talking it. That's a whole other ball game, ain't it? So I'm talking people into breatharianism. That's all I'm doing, running my mouth. But they got that much power. Yeah, man, this is making me sick. Right. But for me to get that idea, where did that come from? See, here we go again. This shows that this consciousness, we're living in it. See, we're calling it breath. We're calling it air. We're calling it other things. But this is a consciousness we're living in.
So I hear a lot of talk about creating. Are we creating, or are we in a stream of information that is directing us?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Are we creating, or are we in the stream
Of consciousness
of
that is
consciousness
directing us.
that is directing us, both at the same time?
Right.
You're creating, you're being recreated, and you're allowing others to create you or other things.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. Unless it's in the direction of the stream of consciousness.
Which everything
that we wanna
is.
be.
Which everything is.
But there are people. So as soon as you turn on your television, you're inundated with things that are not productive to enlightenment. So they're telling you to eat through all the commercials, to buy, to do all these things, but the consciousness, the stream consciousness that brought these four entities together is a completely different reality that was created because of something that we interacted with individually that brought us together to this place where we're now in that one direction where
Right.
the stream is flowing.
And when we're talking about the stream, it's just like anything. When you get further from the source, things get more loose. Even when I was in the military, when I was at duty stations that was further from Washington, you got more leeway on how you can wear your uniform.
Okay, interesting.
It's true. I was overseas walking around with T-shirts on. You better not do that in Washington, all right?
Right.
Yeah, I was just talking to you the other day about that. Like the more I would go back into cooked food, the more harder my life got, the more emotional I got, the more further away I feel. But when I'm closer to the light, closer to the living on prana days or whatever, everything just unfolds.
It unfolds. Now, that's at an individual level you felt that. Now, she just answered your question on the collective. On the collective, we did go through a phase, and we're coming out of it, where we got further collectively, and everything was a lot more denser, a lot more stagnant, a lot more negative. That's how we felt it. A lot more pain and suffering. But as we come collectively back into the light, we are. Because not only we talk about the negativity when you turn on the TV Also on that TV is a lot of light coming through too now.
Hmm.
Like we said, even McDonald's is showing what?
Right.
A vegan burger.
Right.
They
Wow.
helped me on my
Yeah.
bike trip because they had Wi-Fi everywhere.
Nice. Beautiful.
So you went to McDonald's.
Yeah, they go McDonald's. I didn't do it like Willie Brooks though.
I know him.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
really?
He was like Breatharian or Willie
right.
Brooks. I know the story a little bit, but
Oh, okay.
And we're
That he's
just
now
saying,
eating
no
burgers and
pointing
stuff.
fingers, right?
okay.
But
So
humanity itself is becoming more enlightened as a whole, because even this message I have, I was just met a group here yesterday, didn't even know who I was, but we got into the conversation and tell them what they're doing. What was that? That was the overall consciousness
Right,
again.
right.
So everybody can kind of feel the pressures, even if it seems like you're making it with your family and you're doing this, and it's coming both from the man and the woman, the parent. There's so much pressure on us. We can't wait to, because you're doing it to uphold this, but everybody kind of know that that's too much stress. This isn't the way to go. We need to find another way. That does take a lot to be caught into that corporate mind. It seems like it's a good thing, but it wears on the body. It wears on the consciousness. You're constantly fighting others if you're a lawyer and all this other stuff, and it wears on your health. I just met a guy who's a successful lawyer, but he would not put that on his children. You understand? Start living your life passion. And a lot of people are waking up to this, trying to get less. They wanted to take a picture of me yesterday just because, oh, that's all your belongings in life? Well, yeah. But even for me to be this way, I had to work towards it. Because I once had the old idea. A lot of stuff is still being purged out. See, that's heavy, ain't it? Growth never ends. See, it's not limited. You keep on growing. See, right now we're in a path that we're even challenging death itself. You understand? Because we already got biological immortality. A biological immortality, any person in their right mind knows that if you're in the right atmosphere, doing certain habits, you're going to get more out of the physical vehicle. The right people, all of this stuff, you can be catered to. So like we said earlier, that not only you're a creator, you also got others creating you. You said, well, that might not be a good thing. Well, it is a good thing if you're in the right hands. And there's a lot of people that will really do good things for you without asking for nothing in return once you open up that door within your mind.
That's true.
It's a beautiful age we're in. So we got to recognize it and see it, because we're the same creature, the same spirit. See, look at that word creator. We use the word creator, then we use the word creation, and then we use the word creature. But it's all one word. So we're all one creature.
Right. Absolutely.
A creature. Listen at that, but it ain't spooky no more. You're the same entity.
Nice.
Uh-oh. That's why we do attract light, like
Right.
mind.
Right.
In other words, you're the same creature acting out. And as we keep on growing and developing, it don't end. You don't have to give up on yourself. You're never disconnected. All you got to do is sit back, relax, learn, take something away from what you learned, and keep on growing until we come back into our fullness. It's one creature, one unified consciousness. It don't separate itself like that. We separate it. But what keeps this flow of information going, that little simple exercise we was doing earlier, meditation, that keeps the flow of information going. Oh, that should be the new definition for meditation.
Yeah.
The technique for keeping the flow of information going. And we need that. Once that information starts getting stagnant, that's when stuff start looking the other way. Because like we say, the way you treat other people is the conversation you have with yourself first.
Absolutely.
Oh man, and notice just when you do energy cultivation exercise, your thinking changed just by going through that little process just now. Took a little time just to get this energy flowing. So that's telling us right there that our physical bodies is consciousness. It ain't unconscious, it's conscious. So it's us who's bringing it back to life. That's why they say in the scriptures that God breathed in the animal, he became a living soul. Well, who's God then? I'm just saying. You're breathing into the atom to make it into a living soul. You give it life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. This is heavy now, but it's all making sense. So go back to the mothership, the one who nourishes, the one who rounds up, the one who gives. That's the mother frequency, the feminine frequency we keep talking about. But don't get so stuck on the physical female of the body, so we could tend to do that now. There's a new war going on dealing with the gender war. It's been taking place, but it's on the forefront more than ever. You understand? But that's just a frequency of a school of thought. Yes, it feels good at times to learn your identity, what body you're operating in. We understand that. But the levels beyond that, you're even going to have to throw that down when you're dealing on these different schools of thought to grow. Because, again, this ain't even you.
I can see that.
You can see that, right?
Yeah.
This
Like,
ain't
I
even you.
understand like the idea of that.
It's a vehicle you're using. Uh-oh. So on the Breatharian path again, this is like the gateway, I will say, of the different knowledge. It ain't going against eating or mucus-free, not at all. It is the collection of all of them, telling everybody to at least upgrade or pay attention to the energy you're catering to. Is this making sense now? Pay attention to it now. And then you can grow from there. You don't need to be stuck. That's another thing. You get stuck anywhere, you're going to feel unfulfilled. I don't care how much money you got, how much materialism, what relationship you're in. Once you get stuck or stagnant, you're going to feel unfulfilled. We are growing organisms that's designed to keep on moving, to keep on growing. So this won't end. I'm not done growing. So some people look at me like sometimes, okay, you're this breath there, la, 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 you arrived. No, I haven't arrived. I know that there's a whole nother door open. It's just that I see it a lot more. So when I talk immortality, I got a straight face now. Oh, yeah, I'm living forever. I'm not dying. Because I already know where I'm at. So it don't end. But this is good to know so a person can keep getting these destination points of I have arrived and there's a new adventure that's out there.
Right.
That's what keeps it exciting. That's what keeps it good. And we got so much to tap into, it's pathetic. We're just scratching the surface because we're coming back to the mothership. So the mothership is here. The mothership is an invisible consciousness of a vessel that's going to take you home. Did I say that? Because when we deal with holistic health now, it's the merging of the internal light that's in you and the physical body becoming one. To what we're talking about, the physical body has the power now not to go to the traditional death of into the ground again. We could take this more up into the light. How do we know that? Through health. See, even health is a loose word. When we say that, we just think of jumping jacks and all this other stuff. No, health. We got to redefine that. And it got heal inside of it, the root word. You're always, what? Coming apart and bringing yourself back together again. We're having these life experiences, bringing yourself back together again. But the body, by its nature, always seek health. It always seeks to go back to its center. So sometimes when you are feeling bad and stuff like that, that's a good sign. Suffering makes you what? Do something about it.
Right.
That's what it makes you do. So it's suffering that gives you movement. But there's more harsh suffering than others, and there's some that you know that are beneficial. Because I was even in a location where I had to educate my niece, where it kind of got, the energy kind of got stagnant there, and I left. And I had to tell her, whenever you're in a place and you don't feel good no more, leave. Rule number one.
Right. So, I mean, so you have the conceptual framework of the yin and the yang, where it kind of presents itself that the negative thing or the pain or the suffering is necessary to understand the light, and I'd like to think that it isn't necessary. It's just the framework of where we find ourselves right now.
Right.
Where if we're paying attention, when, well, I mean, not that we had the option of spitting the tit out of our mouth when we were born.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but recognizing that the it's kind of the synchronistic events are moving us down this path, and if we pay attention to them right away, then we're not going to have to juxtaposition it against that negative thing that's going to force us in the direction that
Exactly.
it wants us to go.
That's why we say a breatharianism is a feeling state.
Right.
The feeling state is, I want to stay with this feeling. I don't need no more lessons to tell me I need to go through that no more.
Exactly.
Suffering is not necessary.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
We just need to get to that place where we are.
You appreciate that new feeling.
Yeah, and where well, the energy is moving around us enough so that that negative thing can't get into that place, and we don't have to get to that place where the teaching realizes itself as something destructive that we have to make our way out of.
Exactly. And then there's some things too, like when we say that word suffering, like we say, even that's in degrees. So we're not even talking about that bad one sometimes. There's times you could be going along and it seems like this rejection comes forth. But there's something in our mind, I got my rights, I want to go through that, I want to. If it rejected you going through this way, that's how we're looking at it. But the spiritual realm is just saying, we want you to go that way. So you just bounce off and just, oh, this is the direction I was supposed to go.
Right.
So you start becoming more sensitive now that these isn't sufferings at all or nothing. It's just something that's guiding me more in a straight way that I shouldn't even be over there no way. That's why I was uncomfortable.
Okay, so then we're so going into the realm of being guided.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I mean, I sort of conceive of it as
Which is you.
right. Well, or me as a part of the universe, which is what the universe wants. This thing of increase, and if we're increasing in a way that the universe wants us to increase, then the manifestation of events we'll see, but not necessarily recognize. But if we are paying attention, I kind of think of it as, I'm going to walk from here to where we started, and when I get to the place where we started, where we're going to end up, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Okay?
Right.
But along the way, I'm going to pick up a tea bag, I'm going to pick up a cup, I'm going to pick up all these things along the way.
Right.
And then once I get there, I'm going to have my cup of tea. But if I'm not paying attention, I'm not going to see the cup, I'm not going to see the tea bag, and when I get there, I'm not going to be able to drink the tea.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're going back to awareness.
Right. Awareness, consciousness, and yeah.
That's why the prophets kept using words like asleep. Humanity being asleep. And you like, how's they asleep? Or they dead. They even use terms like that. But the people's walking around, but the prophets looking at them like they're dead. Because they're unconscious on what's going on, what they have access to, who they are. All this good stuff. That's all we're saying now. We're taking the spookiness out of it and making it real.
Yeah. And when we do that, then everything becomes actionable by anybody, and it's duplicatable by anybody.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
Right. So we won't say this person is just special when it gets down to magic. It's not.
That's no good.
We're all creating.
Right.
But now we have to redefine what we want to create for ourselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And this is the fullness of it all again. So dealing with this nutrition. Now listen at that word. Very powerful word. The body needs nutrition. But the average person has just been taught that the only way it gets nutrition is through the mouth. Very powerful word, and it's the only way you can get it is through the mouth. And nutrition, listen at that, how it starts out, N-U-T. Now that comes from the Egyptian god Nut, or Nut. And that was the god behind Ra.
Interesting.
Which is the sun.
Right.
So even the sun, they saying, was created.
Right. Interesting.
The nut, the nutrition, the power. behind the power. So we talk about we need nutrition. You do need some power. But where are you going to get your power source from? And it's more than just going through the mouth. And that's why we take that word nut or nutrition. Here we go with sexual energy. I'm going to go bust a nut.
Right.
Here we go. And the nut is also what we use for seeds.
Right.
The seed is there, but it needs another activation that takes place to bust open that life to come out.
Right.
You understand? So we're dealing with energy on how to get it on every level. Nutrition. How are we going to nourish ourselves? Whoa, just being out here now. We ain't eating right now. Now, I don't know if you're thinking about it or not. But anyway, there's a lot of nutrition here. A lot of energy, a lot of power, and it's unlimited. And your body will give you enough that it can handle. That's why you're transforming it through the cultivation exercises. That's all we're doing, throwing it out, giving it a break, so it can naturally do the things it's supposed to do. Work at a higher level, a higher degree. Yes, it works differently when it don't have nothing in it compared to where it's sticking way out here. It's different. Whole different ball game. And yeah, it's a different ball game when you just wake up from a sleep, just carry out your day compared to when you wake up and you do some good stretches. You do some good breathing. And then you go walk. Whole different ball game. This ain't even no argument. So
I'm
that's
doing
why
that.
I can take a person through a retreat, and every retreat, about the third or fourth day, I ask them, just think if we lived here for like a month and we did this every day. You'll be a whole nother creature. You ain't thinking about what's happening in the outside world, the bills, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, the children, and you'll just cultivate yourself all day long. Whoa! It'll keep going on and on and on. You're growing something. You're growing your energy body. You're growing your character. You're growing your consciousness. That's what it boils down to. Oh, man. This is getting good, ain't it? So that's what we want to do when we keep dealing with this spiritual cultivation. And notice that that word cultivation is a word that they use for farming. And it also got the word cult into it. Cult just means a culture. We're in a Breatharian culture. Oh, I like that word. I got to start using it. Let me write that down. I'll have to do it later. Breatharian culture. Those who eat less or none at all. So this exists down on the planet, and even the medical field is backing us up because it's saying a starvation diet is the best diet. Why would they tell you that? They did test on rats. They did test on monkeys. He lives longer.
Right.
I even had some pet rats, and I wasn't even doing an experiment. There was one who was obese more than the rest of them. He didn't move around more than the rest of them. He was the first one that died. He didn't even want me touching his food. He'll fight me. So I just let him live his existence and eat. And when he died that day, his carcass is laying there, and I'm looking at all his food. See, I can touch all your stuff now. You can't do nothing about it. So in other words, that's a parable that taught me. People are holding and fighting on the things that don't mean a hill of beans. When you die, you ain't going to be having no access to it no way. What are you chasing for? Let it go. Oh, man, that's why I start lightening up things even more. It don't matter. Oh, man. But this is what we're dealing with again, that everything's available to us. But see, there's another thing about being grateful. Whoa. You miss something when you lose it. And we're talking about physically here. I was just with a person where they was admitting I should have took better care of myself. And they seen a woman that was older than they was walking and said she still could walk. I should have took better care of myself. Now, of course, they're beating themselves over the head like it's over with. You understand?
Right.
And nobody's arguing. It's going to take a lot more work. The more you tear yourself up, it's going to take a lot more work to try to correct that.
Right.
Nobody's arguing that. A disease is a lot harder to take care of than the sickness. And the guy in there, you got a lot more work to do. But being grateful of where you at now means a lot. Even on the way a person look. I see many people that got older, they looked at a picture of themselves when they were younger and said, I did look good back then. Back then, I didn't think I looked good. But now, since they really changed, all of a sudden, man, that was me. So be proud of how you look now.
Right.
You're already beautiful.
Right. Right.
Be grateful. Forget what people say. All right, I got it. I know I'm fine. That's the only one I got. Right.
Exactly.
Be grateful you can walk and all this other stuff and you can breathe. These things we take for granted. And when they become compromised, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
You wish you had it back again. And this is what we're talking about, that feeling state. So even when you're dealing with breatharianism, like I just took that bike trip with the 700 miles and then I did the walking over 100 miles, I feel great. So I was glad when I could look at a person in their face and I'm healthy. I just did something. Now to lose that state, this is what keeps you going on the breatharian path. I don't want to lose that feeling. Whoa. You don't want to go too far back where you don't feel like that no more. You don't care. If this is what it takes and the price to pay, so be it. I'd rather feel like this. You can't even buy this from me.
Right.
That's why they say health is your wealth. Whoa. Back when I was overweight, yeah, I had the house and the cars and all this other stuff. I don't want to feel like that no more, and I don't want everything to go along with it.
That's how a lot of people find the breatharian journey is by being sick.
By being sick.
Right. But there is a transition for some people where they do have to take certain things or certain procedures like the mucusless diet or something like that on their journey.
And that just makes sense.
Right. So it is normal to...
So we're not talking about superpowers
Right,
here.
right.
See,
It's a
I heard
journey.
one side guru said, it isn't about being superhuman. Humans are super. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, work with the process and have fun along the way. See, like we were saying earlier, you might be having certain life experiences that being food free will not fit into that life experience. We have to be truthful with that. Uh-oh, did we say that? Yeah, it might not work for that life experience. You got this, I could give all types of scenarios, but you know, just let your imagination run wild. But then when you're ready for this experience, it's for a certain type of lifestyle, a certain type of feeling, a certain type of thing that you're seeking. You're enjoying yourself on something else. You understand? Whole different ball game.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So even when I see people that got the families and stuff, you know, some get offended and stuff, you know. Oh, every time you're trying to limit it. No, I'm not. But you can't get those moments back where you got the family there, the children there, you got the meal there, you're praying over it. Now, we're not saying you still could be a breatharian because it's to eat very little. You understand? So you still could be a breatharian within that family. That just means share some moments with them because you could make everybody else's life miserable. Just by you trying to make a quote-unquote transition to be a higher consciousness. That's not higher consciousness. That's not using wisdom. Or you should have never created that scenario.
So I have a question. What do you think of people then being like, oh, okay, so this whole breatharian thing, I'm going to do a dry fast. 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, just out of the blue. Like, what do you think that compared to maybe like once a week doing a dry fast and building it up as to like longer fast?
Oh, okay. He's talking about dry fast and stuff like this, people who do it for duration. That's beautiful. Fasting is to clean out the physical body, which cleans out the mind. Fasting is always good. And even at the New Food Pyramid, they got dry fasting at the top.
Oh, do they?
Right.
Oh, that's very cool.
Now, they could put living on prano breatharianism, but we can't do it yet.
Right.
Okay? There's still this controversy a little bit till we knock off the last little chip. But dry fasting is at the top because look at what the medical profession was saying. What? A starvation diet is the best diet. What do they mean by that? That means eating very, very little is going to keep you alive. That's what they're saying. So anyway, but fasting is not living on prana. That's two different things.
Right.
But it's good to, if you are eating and exercising and all this other good stuff and want to live healthy, you should have fasting in your lifestyle. Hands down. Back it up for the table. When I go places, let me show you what eyes I got. Food destroyed everybody. I went to places I ain't been in a long time. And when I came back and saw the people that's still there, food destroyed. I said, dang, he just got destroyed. Food did that. They done gained more weight, something is tore up. Food did that. That's what people need to wake up to. Food did that. Hands down. They overdid it. Didn't understand. But in their mind, we're not starving. We got food. We eat the best food in the world. Highest nutrition. That's in their mind.
Yeah.
But when I come and see it, you degenerate. Then they try to, the knee is hurting now. Well, maybe I'm getting older. That food did that. We got to wake up to that.
So what are the people who jump into like fruit eating, just eating fruit? Like,
See, I feel that the fruit is just as toxic. It's still an obstruction. Like it's still.
Well, like we said,
but it's lighter.
if a person's on that level and degree, let them be there. You
No,
understand?
no. I'm wondering your opinion on that.
Oh, my
like,
opinion. Well, my opinion, you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Like I just want to hear your opinion on this.
She doesn't want to hear it. Hear it.
Yeah.
The whole goal should be to be food free. That's the ultimate goal. That's it. That's all we're talking. Everything else, you're having a life experience.
Right.
All diet changes are to discipline the mind. Now, like I was telling somebody not too long ago, if you keep not eating, and then when you do eat, you're eating everything in sight, that's a food disorder. If you can't even get a perimeter on what you won't go beyond when you're eating, you need to build that discipline. So that's the breatharian path. At least pick something that you won't go beyond.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Right.
What
You
if
know?
you like?
Well, so you come off a period of time where you haven't eaten anything, and I mean, you always have to be very careful when you start eating food again. But then it's not a gentle curve to a plateau, right? It's more like a bell. You know, where
Right.
you just kind of go up and just keep eating and eating and eating, right?
Mhm.
And so you kind of have to prepare. You have to have that mental discipline, you know, because you're returning to the place where food is the physical and mental crutch, right? And without controlling the mental crutch, you just want to keep eating.
So that's why diet changes is awesome, because you're disciplining the mind by saying, I won't touch that no more, but I only will touch this.
Like I won't touch cooked food, but I'll stay raw.
Right.
Or-
And you're sticking there. So what it's doing, it ain't so much the food that's making you healthy. That's not doing it.
Right.
The mind is becoming disciplined. And of course you did change energies on how you're eating. The body regenerates itself regardless what lifestyle you got.
Right.
You're going to create new cells from the last ones.
Right.
Uh-oh, here we go now. So on the breatharian path, people lose it because they go without this food freedom, and then they eat everything with no discipline. And the reason why you were disciplining yourself was to strengthen the mind.
Right.
At least let me enjoy this and notice the experience, and then leave it alone. And you're in that cycle, and the body's clear. But you're confusing the memo when it's jumping in and out.
Right.
And then that's where you start feeling bad with it. You got to come up out of it and all this other stuff.
I think that's where I actually going through that process is where I actually learned how to.
I can't see you, just your hands.
Where I learned how to eat. You know, so coming out of a period of time where I hadn't eaten, and then sort of that sort of energy burst that goes on in your mouth where you're putting that first bite of food in your mouth.
Right.
You know, I don't know if you've had that experience. Yeah. So I don't think you could. Well, I don't know. At least I don't think I could transition to a breatharian lifestyle until I truly knew how to eat.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so.
I love how you said that. Truly learn how to eat. So
Mhm.
that's why I tell people in breatharianism, I don't teach people how not to eat. I teach you how to eat again
Right.
until you go into food freedom.
Right. Right.
See, that's
Right.
what I need help with is learning how to
Learning
eat.
how to eat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's all humanity need to learn that part.
Right.
So that's why the
Exactly.
breatharian knowledge is here.
Exactly.
First, learn how to eat. Because like I said, when I go to these places,
Mhm.
well, I've been gone for a long period of time, I see the destruction what food just did.
Right. Right.
Hands down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because and again because we're not taught to eat food. We're taught to consume food.
Right.
And that's a big difference.
Consumer.
Right.
This is where we get that from.
Right. Exactly.
We are biomachines. You're just consuming that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to use it as a whole nother ball game, we're talking about to thoroughly chew it, to eat more bland type foods, to notice that it is a fuel just on a lower level, just like oil or coal and stuff like that. But we got other sources of energy that we also could switch to, that we're
Right.
also using.
Yeah, but then at the same time, there are addictive things in different foods.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that are stimulative or addictive to where, like,
But notice it
Well-
changes from person to person.
Right. And also, when think of ourselves as a forager in the woods. There's already things in our body that are teaching us and telling us what to eat and what not to eat, even on an individual basis. So as we're learning to eat, then we're paying attention to those things as an individual, and we're not going to eat the poison berry, and we're going to eat the blueberry. I mean that entails putting it in our mouth, but then spitting it out and having that discipline.
So that's why that's a whole cycle of knowledge within itself. When to eat, when not to eat. See, that's what set times of cycles start coming. When the best time to eat. When you get the best energy out of it. See, all of this goes with the package. This is all the breatharian knowledge, and people ain't understanding that.
Right,
We just
right.
like to go straight to the full ultimate. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not what we're talking about at all.
Right.
And the more you discipline yourself in the energies, you start learning how to work with the subtle energy forces. You'll have more energy in it. It starts out subtle, but something that's subtle gets stronger and stronger as you continue in it. So just like we were doing the Tai Chis, the different meditations, the different mudras, the energy locks, when you can start feeling the energy shifts in the body and start working with it and keeping these channels open, that's when the ball games start becoming fun. That's it, in a nutshell. And then you start living that lifestyle. You understand why you're doing it. Like we were saying earlier, how the Muslims will, in their prayer, pray when the sun come up. Now the average one probably don't know why, but that's where the biggest energy source externally is coming up. You're meeting it to fuel up, to get everything open. And then it got the 5 prayers throughout the day. People understand that. Different positions of the sun. And it changed this position of where it's at in the body. So coming back into this knowledge, it means something. And even what you were saying about fasting for a longer period of time, say for instance, during season changes, yeah, you should fast a lot longer. Because your body's going to shift with the atmosphere. You accumulate it, eating all of that food, especially if you're eating every day. Clean the body out so the vessel, the mothership, can make its transition to continue to go through outer space. Or the mothership is going to be destroyed through self-destruction.
Right.
Self-destruction. Hit the self-destruct button. Doot, doot, 10, 9, 8. That's what people are doing. But when you learn how to use the mothership, they guide it through outer space. It could go forever. You do your repairs. You put it in dry dock. You get it back out there. You do your selling. That's how you have to do it. This is a machine, a bio machine, your genetic spacesuit. You shouldn't take it no other way. Like I said, just being out here now, we're being nourished. Nutrition. The power behind the sun. That's where the word nut comes from again. Newt. The one that gave birth to Ra. That's heavy to learn. A lot of people stuck on Ra right now. the sun, I need to be in the sun. We ain't talking about the physical sun. You're going from the power to nutrition that even fuels the sun.
Right, right.
Oh man, here we go. We could be in the closet. Energy's still there, making energy balls. It don't matter. We are on another force right now. That was good. I'm gonna stay another day out here. I'll do my walk tomorrow. This is good.
So we transition. So even if we're at the place where whatever we're eating, we're transitioning from heavier density to lighter density. Then and part of that transition is also the energy of the sun, and then part of that transition then is energy that's all around us. So they're all phases that we go through as we're becoming more and more a part of this experience, or returning or becoming the mothership.
Right. And all of it is dealing with, look at these words again, breath. Now, as soon as we think of breath, the mind automatically jumps to the nose, the mouth, and that's it. But the whole body's into this.
Right, right. Just like the whole body is into light, every cell
Heart's
in our body.
beating, everything's breathing.
Right.
In and out, an influx and outflux of energy. But we ain't been looking at it like that. Whoa. Everything's pulsating. Even the earth has its frequency. Do-do, do-do. The skull. Do-do, do-do. Everything has its frequency. It's giving off. But it's breathing. A rhythm. So we even got to get a new definition for that.
Right, right.
We get stuck again. Eating, we go to the mouth. Breath, we go to the nose. We've been trained like that.
Yeah, it's funny, like with my experience so far, like if I ever had something important to do that day, like I would fast, because I could get through it with enough energy and with enough calmness, and I always felt like, okay, I'm my true self.
Right.
Like, and then when I would eat something, like for example, I would do like a fruit juice or like a lot of fruit, I would have all of this like anxiety come up, and people have said, well, this is just emotional detox.
Right.
Or you're dealing with that anxiety, but then I'd be thinking, am I dealing with anxiety releasing, or is this just all the sugar, all the fruit, and I felt myself change, like my personality change when I would consume that food, like even if it was fruit,
Right.
So it's like I get confused sometimes, like, am I really cleansing? Is the fruit really, like, because I still feel like that shift, but when I have nothing in me, I feel like I'm me, like I'm not altered by anything, even like fruit that people say is so healthy, which on their journey, whatever their transition is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still go back and forth where I get confused, and I'm like, well, is it just what all the sugar is actually doing to my body that's making me feel that way?
Right.
Right?
Let's take a walk up
So
to the
I
lake
just like, I get confused sometimes.
as we continue. Our nutrition.
You want to leave your purse here?
Yeah.
Or your bag? I don't know what
Yeah.
you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm in good, this is a good secured place.
We were talking about the other day. Like, if you eat fruit, and you have a body that is like been consuming cooked food, and you combine that, it could react bad. I mean, I'm just talking about my own troubles with trying to live on fruit and just how bad I would feel compared to like doing a daily dry fast, or I don't know, 44-hour dry fast, and then having just a little bit of fruit food, even though, the cooked food is obviously worse, but I don't know, that's just my personal, like, experience with.
Well, it all depends your demographics of where you at also, because keep in mind, let's take fruit for instance. Fruit is expensive in a lot of places. Now, I've been in places too where it was a fruit paradise. Fruit was growing everywhere. But there's some places it won't be very good to go through the fruitarian stages very long.
Right. Yeah, I could see an Eskimo having a difficult time with the fruitarian.
Right.
Or even over in Japan, it's very expensive. A lot of places.
Right.
And then